Welcome to the Pie Guy Podcast with your host, Matt Walker.
Welcome everyone to the Pie Guy Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Walker. Today we have on a family member, sort of, kind of, my cousin's cousin, Harry O'Reilly. I've known Harry my whole life. Um, Harry is a Brooklyn native, an actor and director and writer with a career spanning more than 30 years. He played Private Michael Duffy in the 1987 Vietnam War Hamburger Hill, was Wes McGregor in the 1994 rom-com Reality Bites, classic grunge movie for people my age, and Steven's boss in the 1996 Cable Guy opposite Jim Carrey, which is one of my all-time favorite comedies, and Special Agent Dansk in the 2011 heist movie Tower Heist. Harry discusses his experiences Hollywood. We're going to talk about Brooklyn. We're going to talk about sports, talk about what he's up to now. And I'm hoping we talk about Chris Mullen too, probably in there somewhere. And that's it. How you doing, Harry?
Doing good. Thank you. Very well. Thank you.
Oh, what have you been up to lately?
Um, Writing a little bit here and there, helping my son produce his film.
Oh, no.
He's a talented young filmmaker. Uh, Teaching a little privately here and there. Um, and doing a lot of baseball cards, vintage baseball cards. So I've kind of powered down a bit. Once all my kids are where they need to be, I'm going to step out of the hamster wheel and jump back into the acting career thing.
Yeah, it's amazing how your kids and where they gotta be is all that you care about, right? You're at that point and that's the focus, and whatever you cared about before just kind of takes a back seat, you know?
It really does. Yeah. Yeah.
Greatest job though that I've ever had. So how is your son doing? He went to Kennedy, right?
What's that?
He went to Kennedy, right?
Yeah. Three of my kids went to Kennedy Catholic. Yeah.
My alma mater, which I've done the logo for, and still work with them to this day. It's a great place. My niece just graduated from there. So, all right, let's get started. So, you come from Brooklyn. Our whole families are from Brooklyn. You grow up. My understanding from my cousins was you were an incredible athlete, like one of the best basketball players they've ever seen. Is that true?
I, I was a good athlete, all around athlete, basketball, baseball, football, boxing. I was a good boxer.
You were football too, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I played for the Brooklyn Mariners.
So did I.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did. I played after college
Yeah.
or during college. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I played for the Hurricanes when I was little.
Yeah.
Um, and I actually went away to school to play football and quit the team and joined the drama department.
Wow. I
That's how.
didn't realize that you went, I knew you went to school for sport. I didn't realize it was for football. That's amazing.
But yeah, I was a good basketball player, but I was surrounded by, you know, my brother, who was an All-American, and Chris Mullen, who was an All-American.
You had two All-Americans?
Yeah, literally.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So I was a good player.
That
I
must be some
played
feat.
though. I developed in my mid 20s, I was a very, very good player. But
Yeah.
in my teens, my late teens, I was a late bloomer.
Okay.
But I was good, but not like those guys. They were
What was
incredible.
that like? I mean, how many shots were available for anyone other than those two? It must not have been a lot.
No, everyone was involved always. That's what was great about playing with Chris and my brother. Um, the ball was always moving, and whoever was hot, whoever was open, uh, got the ball.
And was that Zavarian?
No, that was St. Thomas Aquinas
Okay.
in Brooklyn. My brother went to Savarian. Chris Mullen went to Powell Memorial. He transferred from Power to Savarian, and they won the state championship. I played for James Madison.
Oh, okay.
So in grammar school, we all played together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that must have been something. Holy cow.
It was great.
Yeah. Did you know even at the St. Thomas level that this was like one of the best basketball players you've ever seen and he was going to go pro, or was he just that good but he was so unselfish you didn't maybe notice it?
He was that good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, he won a national free throw shooting contest when we were in sixth grade.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and he flew back from the game, from the contest. We were in the playoffs against St. Vincent Ferrer in Brooklyn. He came in the second half. He made the second half, and we won by two.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Chris, he didn't really start growing until high school.
Oh, okay.
Even when he was 6 foot and 6'1", he was uh, uh, just a super gifted player.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even if Chris was only 6'2" or 6'3", there's no doubt in my mind he would have played in the NBA either way.
Well, his style of play, I mean, it was more about shooting and things like that. It wasn't really based on his height, really, because he was more of an outside player, right?
Yeah, no, he was really tough around the basket too. Um, Good passer, great passer, actually.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Uh, got a lot of steals, got his hands on a lot of balls. Um, wasn't that fast, but very smart defender, good rebounder.
Oh,
Just
nice.
did everything well. Yeah.
It's funny. I don't know if I told you this when I saw you. There was a interview I saw with him, and they were talking about Larry Bird being the coach, and he came in and he said Larry Bird, who's maybe the greatest trash talker of all time, he said, I played against him. I knew he was a great trash talker. He goes, but as a coach, he only trash talked his own players. And he said he's like he got on me so bad. And he's like, that's what we're doing today. We're going, are you even playing today or you take it off? And he was like, oh my God. He's like, I had to get used to it. He goes, because I thought we were friends. We were on the dream team together. He goes, and he's like, he just laid into me every game. I thought that was so funny. I love seeing the stuff about how they played in the 80s and the 90s, especially compared to today. It's just so funny how different it was and how physical it was, and it just makes me laugh.
I get into these stupid arguments all the time. You and I have had a couple, but when people say that the players now, the players from the 80s and 90s wouldn't even compete with the players today, I dare anyone to put together a team now that would beat the dream team.
Oh, it would never happen. There
That
would
you,
never happen.
that's 33 years ago.
Yeah.
All
No, it would
those
never
played
happen.
in the 80s. Yeah.
And that's the thing, having kids this age, like I know what they can do and I know what they can't do. They know so much more, but the physical mentality and the like I have to talk to my kids and their friends all the time about like, you're gonna allow that? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, don't allow it. Don't allow it. And you point to Michael Jordan, you point to Larry Bird, you point to these guys, and you're just like, just because somebody stopped you doesn't mean you're stopped. And you have to like they just it's not their fault. It's just the way the world is. They weren't raised with that mentality. I think there is that Gen X mentality is just so scrappy. And I love it. I love that I'm Gen X and that scrappiness and like whatever you got to do and never say die or any of that stuff. It's like an 80s movie like Wolverines or something like that. Or what was it? Was it Wolverine? What was that movie? Oh, Red First Dawn. Red Dawn?
Red Dawn, I think
Red
it
Dawn.
was.
Yeah, yeah. For me in the 80s growing up in the woods, that was like we would paint our faces and act like, Czechoslovakia was taking over our country and stuff. So that's kind of how we were bred. So you're in Brooklyn. So it was in college. You went to Central, right?
I went to Central Connecticut State University. Um, yeah, I always wanted to be an actor as a
Really?
kid. Yeah, I was in all the school plays.
Wow.
Um, Oliver Twist we did in school in sixth grade, and
Oh, that's great.
growing up, I never told anyone. You're a teenager,
Yeah.
you're an athlete. You go to James Madison High School in Brooklyn. You don't tell people you want to be an actor. Um, hey, he wants to be an actor. Look at him. He wants to be a fucking actor for what? What are you gonna do
It's
that?
YouTube. That was
Uh,
a tough school, right, Madison?
yeah, it was a good school, tough school, but good school.
Yeah.
But I would watch them rehearse the school plays, and I remember thinking, yeah, no, that it's not doing that. That's not real, you know. So I always, even as a teenager, I had this sense of truth and reality when it came to acting and stuff. But so when I went away to Central to play football, I was walking around the campus. They have beautiful architecture. The administration building there is beautiful. And I went inside and they were rehearsing the play for the fall. And I just lost it. Started crying, watching them. It was this moment. I walked across campus, quit the team, walked back, and joined the drama department.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And then I called my dad. I said, I just quit the team. And he said, wow, that's the best news I ever heard. I thought he was going to be pissed. So he had a police chief friend there. So we used his address. I got the in state tuition. I got a waitering job a couple of nights a week and made it work
That's amazing.
and never looked back. Like, no plan B. That was it. Like, the moment I joined, I knew that was it for the rest of my life.
Wow. And in football, what did you play in football? What position and huh?
Strong safety.
Oh wow. Oh, so you were a hitter.
Yeah.
Mike's son is a strong safety. I've been watching him. He's a hitter too.
Yeah. But I'm a 6'1" and a half version
Yeah.
of the
Yeah, I'm sure. Uh,
195-pound version of,
wow.
yeah.
That must have been fun.
Yeah, but Mickey's a good player.
Oh, great player.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been going every week because they're up in Connecticut, so we'll come and watch the games and stuff. And then Molly is around here too, so I watch her as well.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's nice I get my weekends with Mike. It's like,
Play soccer, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you join the drama club. Now, what if you couldn't act? Like, what if you quit football and you weren't like a good actor?
Well, no, I knew I was good. I
Okay.
knew.
Oh, well, did you stop when you went to Madison, or were you acting throughout Madison?
No, no, I just knew. I knew,
Oh,
yeah. And we did different sketches and stuff. And my Aunt Mary Ann, she was an actress, and
oh,
she
okay.
had our camera and film us and give us improvisations to do. And
Oh, so this wasn't just a
yeah,
yearning.
it
This was a
always told
real
me,
thing.
you can do this, you
Oh,
know.
oh,
Yeah.
that's great. And like you said, that's hard. I mean, when you're a football athlete guy, people don't want to see you in that vulnerable, different place. It's a hard thing because I mean, I'm an artist too, and I used to take a lot of crap just for, drawing. And and it was like, oh, you're drawing, you're gay, and you're like, what? How'd we get there? But it is funny that you get put in these silos, and then it's like you're like, oh, I'd like to try that. And they're like, what are you crazy? So it's a lot of strength to make that move, I think.
Yeah, it's so funny because when I threw myself into my acting career, a couple of friends of mine, when I got my first film in Hamburger Hill, which was an interesting story. Um, how I got that, I was auditioning for the Actors Studio, and one of the judges gave my name to a casting director, and this is after college, and I was at my dad's house at a barbecue, and that was the only phone number I had. This casting woman called my dad's house on a Sunday and said, "Hey, I'd like you to come in and audition for my movie." So I went in, I auditioned for Hamburger Hill. I had like 5 different callbacks. But I heard later on that couple of my friends were like, "Oh, he's delusional, he's a dreamer."
Yeah,
And I just never had any doubt
that's awesome.
whatsoever.
it's kind of a thing. Like, I don't know if it's an Irish Catholic thing or a New York thing, but it's always that thing like, who are you? You can't do that. Who are you? And you were always like, oh, I don't know. Maybe you're right. But when you get older, and one of the
I've
things
always
I liked
ignored
about
those
Mike,
people my whole life with everything. I've
yeah,
just ignored those people
yeah,
because anyone who tries to shit on your dream in any way, shape, or form, I don't know, maybe it was just instilled with me in me by my dad, who was a very bright guy, homicide detective, just a renaissance man.
yeah.
Um, I think he gave me this permission to kind of believe in all that.
That's
But I did get caught up in the insecurity of what people were thinking until I went away to school. And then after that, it was like game on.
yeah. Well,
You
that's
know?
the good thing about school is you can actually pick your environment. So if you pick an environment where the people that do that are, it's very empowering. Like when I went to FIT in Manhattan, it was the same thing where it was like, oh, you're an artist, you can't be an artist. And then I got to FIT and they're like, of course you're an artist. I'm like, I am? And they're like, what are you going to be? I'm like, a cop, I guess. I don't know. And they're like, why would you be a cop? I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm supposed to be a cop. And they're like, no, you're an artist. And I'm like, I am? They're like, you are. And I went, okay, I guess I am. And it's you're around these people that have this dream and this belief. And it's very infectious, I feel like. Was that kind of how you felt at school or?
Oh, yeah. My dad woke me up to take the cops test. And I went, got up, got dressed, and I didn't take the test. And he woke me up to take the fireman's test a couple of months. I did take that test, and then I did very well on the physical. My football coach, Pudgy Walsh, he ran the whole,
Yes. Yeah, he
you know,
was going
I
too.
did training. And then they called me. I got, to go and do the psychological test and all that. And I didn't go. I just knew I wanted to act, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
I had I had been out in the world. I designed, I did all that stuff. And, it was after 9/11 and I didn't really want to be in Manhattan anymore. And I did take the fire thing just to take it. And it came through. And my cousin Billy Walker, I said, Bill, I got this thing, but I don't know that I want to be a fireman. He's like, well, what's your main hurdle? Because he's like, you could design on the side, you could do all these things. It'd be great for you. He's like, what's your main hurdle? I go, I don't really like fire. And he started to laugh and he goes, yeah, maybe this isn't for you. And I went, okay, yeah, I think you're right.
I have a lot of friends who are firemen and a couple of family members. And, they have always had this affinity for, as children, wanting to be a fireman,
Yeah.
something very noble and meaningful to them to do that. I have a couple of friends who wanted to be airline pilots when I was a kid, Jimmy Kennedy. And when we were in seventh grade, he wanted to be a piece of pilot, and I think there are certain things like if I didn't become an actor, I wanted to be a DEA agent. I still want to be a DEA agent, you
Really?
know. Yeah, I wonder if there's any way of doing it at 63, you know. But yeah, I think I would have been a good police officer, but with the stuff that goes on now, um, the way I just don't think police officers treated the right way, and
Oh, no, not at
in a
all.
lot of cases, I don't think they act the right way, and it's a problem.
No.
But yeah, I just had this. Um, I just didn't see the yellow lights, the red lights flashing when it came to acting. There were no yellow lights. It was green all the way down.
That's great.
Uh,
And I mean, you got picked almost immediately. I mean, that must have been an amazing thing. I mean, for you,
I
that
got
movie at that age, that must have been like, holy shit, I've arrived.
out of college, yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
was home from school on the summer, and my teacher, who was the head of the department, who I went and joined the department with that day, he said, this is very difficult. This is like being a med student. I said, look, I just gave up a scholarship um, to be here. I'm not fucking around. And he said, okay, let's do it. So he was my guy. So I went home one summer and he said, get in a good class for the summer. So I went to the Strasbourg studio and they were auditioning for this lady's acting class. There were about 50 people in line waiting for this class. So I went into the office. I said, whose class is this? They said, oh, it's Geraldine Page. Well, I didn't know who she was, but Geraldine Page was Meryl Streep's idol,
Oh,
you
wow.
know? And there was some cute girl who was like third on the line. And I asked her if I could go in front of her, pissed off about 50 people. And she let me go. And I went in, I did my audition for her, and they called me a few days later and I got in her class. So I called Dr. Finizio from Central. I said, hey, I got into this lady, Geraldine Page's class. And he dropped the phone like he was her favorite actor. Did you see Trip to Bountiful?
No.
She won the Oscar for Trip to Bountiful.
Oh, wow.
She won 3 Tonys, nominated for 9 Oscars, like the whole deal. And he said, listen, you need to study with her. Without telling me don't come back, he said, study with her. So I didn't go back. I missed my last year of college.
Oh, wow.
So from there, I studied with her, and she urged me to audition for the Actors Studio. So I auditioned for the Actors Studio, which is very difficult to become a member there. And that's when the judge saw my audition. And so I got a big film without even having an agent, which is impossible.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you have to get one immediately or did you just not use one for a while? An agent?
So when I came back from shooting in the Philippines, I looked up the judge from the Actors Studio because I wanted to say thank you. So I found out who she was, and um, I got her phone number and I met her for lunch and I brought her flowers. And then she invited me into her acting class. She said, well, I have a great class. I'd love to have you if you want to join. So that's where I met Ben Stiller, was in her class, and Vincent D'Onofrio and
Oh, wow.
Gregory Peck's daughter. She was such a great actress. George Russo. It was just a great Laura Delano. Uh,
Vincent D'Onofrio to me is so good.
he's
I watch him in Daredevil and like it's so different than the person he is, but it's so believable that that's him. He's really incredible. And then you watch him in like Men in Black and whatever, and he's just a different person in each one of these. It's
yeah,
really amazing. I really have a lot of respect for him. He's so good.
yeah, he is. He's a good guy, good friend. So yeah, so then I was in that class for a while,
Oh, wow. So
and
what
then
does that mean when when you say you take a class? Like, is that your full-time job? Is it something you do at night or on the weekends? Like, how does that work?
that was during the week. I remember her class was on Tuesday nights, and I was working as a bartender in Ryan McFadden's on Second Avenue, and just make sure you have Tuesday nights off. So you go and you get a scene assigned to you from a play, and you have a partner, and you meet and you rehearse, and you put the scene up in class, and you get notes, and you keep working the scene, and then you introduce props and full performance,
Oh, wow.
wardrobe, full props, makeup, whatever you need, and
Does it ever turn into a production or is it just practicing basically
it's just
for the students?
after 5 or 6 weeks on a scene, she'll say, "Oh, guys, let's wrap it up. You did a great job," and then next week you start another scene.
That's amazing.
It's just amazing. It's just
Huh.
amazing. And then, uh, yeah, so that's how I met Ben Stiller, who's still to this day one of my close friends. And um, so from that class, an agent came in to watch someone's work from William Morris. And I remember I was working on a great scene. And the kid, did you ever see the movie, whatchamacallit, with James Woods, De Niro? I'm drawing a blank, but they came in to see this guy.
Casino?
What's that?
Casino?
No, no, way before that. Leone directed it. Once Upon a Time in America.
Okay.
You have to see it, Matt. Great film. But the kid who was the lead in that film, some agent came, was in our class also, Scott. And the agent came to see him do a scene in class. And I remember I did my scene in class, and the agent from William Morris asked me, "Hey, look, I'd love to work with you." And I said, "No, I appreciate it, but I'm just focusing on scenes right now." So that was my chance to sign with William Morris. But about 6 months later, I just had this thing. I wanted to just purify my instrument and just work. I knew the other stuff was going to come, and I already done Hamburger Hill.
Yeah.
So uh, I was introduced to this lady, Molly McCarthy, who was a agent at Writers and Artists Agency, and we hit it off, and I wound up signing with her. So that's where I started,
Nice.
and then from there, I got a home front, a TV series that was on ABC for a while.
So that's when I mean I couldn't watch Hamburger Hill at the time. I was too young and it was R-rated movie, I think, right? So we were very strict on that. But my first introduction to you was Homefront, and I used to love that show. I thought that was such a good show, and that I think I had a crush on the English woman. She was so pretty. She seemed like such a nice person.
Great. Yeah.
She just seems so nice, but I love that style. And wasn't the coach from he was the baseball player, wasn't he?
Kyle Chandler.
Yeah, he's the coach from Friday Night Lights, right?
Yeah, yeah. Great guy.
He was so great. And I remember I loved the scenes with the Indians and everything. That was a good show. I really liked that show.
Yeah, it should have lasted a lot longer.
How long did it go? 2 years?
Two, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good show. Like I said, I was still pretty, I think I was like in sixth or seventh grade, so I didn't understand all of it, but I definitely love watching it. And that was like, our whole family would watch it because Aunt Maureen would tell us to go down and, Harry's on tonight, and we'd run down and watch, and, it was so great. But we're at that point, are you living in LA or are you living in New York or?
That was 91, 92. Yeah, I was living in LA at that point. Um, yeah, I was not a big LA guy, you
Yeah,
know. I just I never really got comfortable there,
yeah,
you know. My first year out there, I was in Venice Canal. I had a beautiful little house on the canals. I had my canoe. I would go out at night, um, but never really got comfortable. I don't know why or how, but it never spoke to me. I need New York
yeah.
always. Yeah.
I feel that way in Connecticut. We're so close, and there are some New Yorkers here, which is nice. But I was out in Long Island last week working with my cousin, and they were all firemen. And I'm just sitting there and I'm listening, and I'm like, there's just something about New York. The people, the way they are, they're rough, but they're so caring and giving and funny. They're like the funniest people in the world. There's just such a warmth there. And I know people that aren't from New York don't understand that. They think we're very rough, but I just find New Yorkers very warm, and very funny. I think they're the funniest people in the world.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I found in LA that um, people were very friendly and very nice.
Yeah.
But when things got to where, there was something on the line
Yeah.
or they're gone.
Yeah.
And I think in New York, people are more when things get to that place, whatever is being asked of you, however it is, as a friend or a stranger,
Yeah.
people step up. It's
Yep.
not a, what do you need? What do you got? What do you want? What's up?
Yeah, and a friend of mine, he worked in LA, and he used to make fun of, oh, because there was such a, especially back in the early 2000s, there was such a New York bias in design. And he was like, oh, what's the big deal? New York stinks. We're on the best coast and all this stuff. And I was like, do you know how hard we have to work just to get into work? I said, it takes me an hour and a half of almost fist fights every morning just to sit in my chair. I go, you have no idea how hard it is to be in New York. So if you're in New York, you respect everyone that's in New York. And like you said, if someone needs a hand, you give them a hand because you know how hard it is and you need a hand sometimes. So it's like there's a lot of camaraderie there that you earned being there that I don't think people understand. People that just have a 3 minute commute in their car and they get their, Dunkin' Donuts every morning and it's just insane.
405. The 405 is a nightmare, and
Yeah.
the one is a nightmare,
Yeah.
and traffic in LA
But
is
traffic isn't the subway, right?
nothing's like the
Yeah,
subway. Yeah.
nothing is like the subway. I mean, I could see four stories on the way into work that day, and each one of them would be mind-blowing and nobody would believe it. And it's especially it's August and it's like 115 degrees down there and everybody's just sweating. And now you're leaning against them and it's just so rough. Such a tough part of it. So like you earn that New Yorkness, I feel like.
Oh,
So
no doubt. I used to sell newspapers with,
all the Murphys, yeah.
Murphy's at the Battery Tunnel at 6 in the morning, and then at the Verrazano in the morning and the Battery Tunnel in the late afternoon.
Yeah. My brother and sister used to do that.
And yeah,
My dad's favorite story was there was this guy hitting on my older sister. And he's like, "You come over here." He was like this rich guy. He goes, "You're so beautiful, I could vomit." She was like, "Thank you."
you're so beautiful, you make me puke.
It's just so great. Like you would never, if that happened in real life, you'd be like, "No, this is fake. That's no way that's real." Uh, so you move cross country, you get this show. Show lasts 2 years. What's the difference between the show and the movie? Is the show, I wanted it like they seem so similar, but they seem so different. Even the way the story is being told, all of those things. What do you like better? What's the biggest differences between a TV show and a movie?
Well, a movie, things are more compact and you take a little bit more time to shoot it. So you have an hour and 50-minute movie that you could take 5, 6 weeks to shoot indie. But a feature, a big budget feature, you'll take, 3 months to
Wow.
tell that story. TV, you're doing what, 48, 50 minutes over a 10-day shoot. So you're moving, you're shooting more pages a day. Um, and the story is being drawn out more, So TV is a lot of fun, especially if you have a character that, they're writing for you every week. That's great, you know. And but in a film, you're you're you don't you take more time shooting it, but um, it's very rarely in sequence,
Yeah.
So you have to really get grounded and connected on each bit of work that you're doing every day. You get more time to shoot it, um, but I don't know. I personally like the work that I've done in film, but I've done like 5 TV series, and it's all different characters. But I can't say that I like anything better. Just working with good people who have good vision, good locations, good stories. It's just a blast.
The skill set of TV, it seems like, and this is just from, I watch like a lot of movies and like behind the scenes stuff. The skill set seems to be very sharp and very quick on TV. Like you really, because it has to be faster. Is that true? Where the people on there, because they tend to be, it's almost like people that do plays and stuff. They have to be very like sharp. Is that true or not?
I mean, sometimes because some days you're shooting 8 pages.
Yeah.
7 pages on a film, even an indie film. You're shooting 3 pages in a day if you're lucky. On a big film,
Yeah.
maybe 2 pages in a day. So yeah, it is moving. Um,
Which makes you sharper, probably, right?
yeah, yeah, it does. But if you're prepared, you just have to prepare properly. There are some actors that I've met that just don't really prepare for their work, and it could kind of hold up the day, and it
Yeah.
could kind of hold up the production.
What if
So
you don't have, because this is always a thing with me, because I don't have a great memory. What if you don't have a great memory? Like some of this dialogue, these long things of dialogue that you see, like how do they memorize all of that so quickly? Do they memorize it in like 30 minutes? Or like there was a great, I was listening to this great Seinfeld interview and he was talking about the famous, remember the golf ball in the whale's hole
yeah,
episode?
yeah.
And he explained that that was all done on the fly and that they didn't have the ending. And then Larry David wrote it and they gave it to Jason Alexander and they said he memorized the whole thing in 20 minutes. And Seinfeld said, the look on my face, he goes, I'm not acting. I'm amazed that he memorized this word for word in such a short period of time. And I thought it occurred to me like, what if you don't have that kind of a memory? Can you just not be an actor?
No, well, it's not really the way I was taught by Geraldine Page was not so much about learning the words. You learn the emotional through line of what's going on. So, if the scene is a guy comes home and he finds his dog laying on the floor and he goes in a panic, he runs over, picks up the dog, picks up the phone and makes the call to his wife. Hey, I found little Ginger's on the floor. I don't know if he's dead or alive. So the emotion of what those actions are and what this guy's experiencing in the moment, I connect to that. Most actors connect to that, and the words just come. So if the line is, "Hey, Ginger's on the floor. I don't know if she's fucking dead or alive. Where are you? Where are you? What? How is anyone home?" You know, you can learn that, and that just keeps going for a minute and a half. I mean, you learn it in. I can learn that in 20 minutes because I'm connecting to the emotion of finding my dog. So what's at stake, right? You connect with what's at stake, right? It's called the given circumstances. What's going on? You ask yourself, what's going on? How would I be as my character under these circumstances? That starts stimulating different emotions,
Yeah.
right? So your physical life and your emotional life are coming alive, and then you're learning the words and you're just saying the words along with what you're already connected to. See, what's going on is your foundation, and the words just rest on top of that. So all the good actors that I know get plugged into what's going on and the emotional values of everything surrounding that, and then learn the words, and it just comes.
It's interesting because I when I look at my podcast, I guess I think of the two biggest influences were Mark Maron and his podcast.
I love them.
He's very smart. And he comes in there, even though he was a comedian and he's acted, he always came into it very deferentially, like, "Hey, I don't know this. You should tell me more." And I always like that as an interviewer. And then the other part being like Joe Rogan in the sense that like it's not scripted, it's a conversation. We don't edit it, and whatever comes of it comes of it. That was like the two ideas. And one of the reasons why I love Mark Maron is because the creativity that I use as a designer, as someone who builds things visually, it's a lot of the same thing. So what you were just saying to me is great, which is what am I feeling in this moment? So when I was just working for the state of Connecticut, they all acted like we were just, building like a little stupid thing of, oh, here's the buttons. And I'm like, guys, this is the Department of Labor. Somebody's coming in here. They haven't been paid. Like, this is a big deal. We have to get that sense out there. It was kind of like what you're saying, which is like, what is the person in this moment going to feel? Or like when I was building fantasy sports, it's Sunday morning. I just got out of church late. I got to do my roster. What's the best way to do it? Like that it's kind of interesting. It's like that same thing you're saying, which is your job is much more creative, but it's still like if you can tap into some of those creative thought processes when you're building things for people, it always makes for a better product, I feel like. Would you agree?
100%. I taught a scene study class for years in the city. Just great group of actors I worked with. If they only knew I'd work with them for free, right? But they did pay me.
I'll
But
edit that out.
yeah, about 10 years ago, I told them, yeah, I could learn a page of dialogue in half hour. And I said, yeah, I could learn a page just in give me a 3-page scene like this. I'll learn it in 20 minutes. They're like, oh, get out of here. No way. No. I said, well, let's try it. So we tried it and I pulled out some scenes and I took a scene and what I did was I read it through and not at any point did I think about what are the words, right? So the first time I read it is what's my initial impression? What's the time, place, setting? What are the given circumstances? What's at stake? What's my relationship with the other people? You can meet someone for the first time and feel like you know them your whole life. You can know someone your whole life and feel like you don't even know them, right? So you get involved in the relationships. Then you read the scene over and over and over, and you're pulling different things from it. And then I would have one of the kids from my class say, "Okay, all right, I've read it now for about 20 minutes. I give them the pages. I don't have the pages. And I say, all right, let's do the scene. Sorry, I didn't come get you after the test, but I had an accident. Sorry, I didn't come and get you after the test, but I had an accident. That's the first line here on this, right? So then they would say their line. I would know my second line. Then I would say line. They would give me the first word. I would get the line. So after reading it twice, I was locked in.
And
And then
that
I said,
if you say line, that's not considered a
from the scene. And
oh,
they're like this, and I don't even need the pages.
amazing.
But it takes a lot of practice.
I was gonna say it does take practice, and it's there's a great line in I've watched this documentary probably 1,000 times, the Eagles documentary. I just love it.
So good.
It's so good. It's just so good. There's so much great music, and I don't even dig into stuff like this, but I even read Don Felder's autobiography because of it. Like I really got into it, and I don't even love the Eagles that much. I enjoy them, but whatever. But there's a great line that he says in there, Glenn Fry, where he said, "How do you write music? I didn't know how I wrote music." And he said Jackson Brown lived underneath us in this cubby hole, and every morning the kettle would go off, and that would be Jackson just practicing. And he did Doctor My Eyes. He would just do the piano thing. He goes, and there's the verse. And he would do it. He'd do it like 20 times. And then you'd hear that kettle go off. He goes, and then he'd sing with it. Then he would do the second verse. He goes, that's how you do it. He goes, elbow grease, time, hard work. And it was like all these creative endeavors seem so fun, but it's just no different than football. It's no, you keep doing it till it's muscle memory, right? Like you can't think out there like you're saying. It just has to be like that. And how do you get there? You just keep doing it. Like my sons are goalies for lacrosse. And one of the things I learned having three sons that are goalies for lacrosse is no matter who the kid is, there is a specific number of shots they have to see before they're a good goalie. And each one's different. But the only way to get there is you just got to be shot at. And it seems like that's acting, right? Like right? You just time and time and time. And then you're going against this type of actor. And now you're going against this type of actor. It must just be all of that, like, right? Just muscle memory and practice. Would that be fair?
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a lot of things that come into play. There's work ethic.
Yeah.
Um, there's talent. And then there's auditioning, right? When you come in, like when I first auditioned for Homefront, right? It was up at ABC. I did my screen test. I walked in and there were 15 people in this little theater, all the execs from ABC, and it's a whole different animal when you get in that situation because all these people are watching and you're doing a scene with your reader, and who it's like who can really shoot hoops in their backyard
Yeah.
and be like the backyard legend, but then go out and play in a game with people screaming and cheering and yelling and perform in that setting, right? It's the same thing with auditioning. So when there's something on the line, can you come in and audition and be natural and grounded and real and personable and know when to walk a room and say hello to people and then do your work and say, give me that job and walk out of the room. So there's a whole other element of the career part of being able to walk in a room and do your thing.
I the Mark Maron,
And doing really good, subtle, grounded, specific, clear acting, performing, you know.
I heard that a lot on the Mark Maron thing when he would talk to Saturday Night Live people. He'd say like they would put their show on, they would do great in front of a million people, and then the next night you're in Manhattan and there's just Lauren Michaels and like one other person. And they're like, you're doing your set and no one laughs because they're not supposed to. He's like, and you could just hear someone coughing in the background while you're like, spilling your heart out. And they're like, that was the hardest thing is you're like, I don't know if I bombed. I don't know if they liked it. I couldn't read them and then give them something else. It was like flying blind. And I
Yeah.
think that must be what you're saying, right? Because they're not going to cheer. They probably won't laugh too much for you or react to you too much when you're in that audition, right?
No,
Yeah.
no. You know, the day after my mom passed, I had a callback for Dennis Leary's show. It's called The Job. It was before, uh, what's the one he did where he played the fireman?
Oh, yeah, fire. I forget. Great
Yeah.
show.
I was on that one too, but I was auditioning for The Job. It was a recurring role, and it was the day after we buried my mom. Now I had this callback for this comedic role, right? And I'm sitting, I had 9 people sleeping in my house because it was my mom's funeral. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm not gonna act game, you know. And I'm sitting there, my mom came to me and she said, go have fun. So I jumped up, I got dressed, I went into the audition. It was all the way down on Barrack Street. And I walk in the room and I meet, Leary's there, Dennis Leary's there, and the head of the FX or whatever the hell it was at the time. And there's some guy sitting behind Dennis, and he's holding up someone else's headshot like this, and he waves to me. And the guy who's looking back at me is a friend of mine. So he's holding up someone else's headshot. And the casting director goes, are you guys ready to go? And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. So my reader's here. And this fucking guy still has so I kind of waited until he took it down. I'm like, no, fuckface, you're going to watch my audition. Because now it's like, I wanted to strangle the guy. Rude what he was doing, right? You don't do that. So he's like, oh. And he puts the headshot down and he watches the audition. And I do the audition and it goes pretty well. And we're talking and he's still in the back and he's just kind of sitting there. And his name is Peter Tolan. You can look him up. He's a big shot. And he goes, take care, very cold, dismissive, whatever. They call me a few days later, I get the part. A week later, we're shooting in Yonkers in some playground with the kids. And I'm coming out of hair and makeup and I'm walking to set and he comes running over. This guy comes running over. Hey, Harry O'Reilly, Pete, good to see you, man. He goes, how you doing? Welcome to the family. I'm like, oh, hey. I'm like, this is that fucking guy. He goes, listen, I fought for you, man. I fought for you. And that was my wake-up call. Don't read the room. I'm not psychic. I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on. So this guy who I wanted to kick, I wanted to go over and I wanted to kick him,
Yeah.
fought for me. And I asked Leary, I said, did he? He goes, yeah, he fought for you.
That's great. And it's funny, you're right. Like
I know. Like
you
I'm sure
never
you
know.
get
Yeah.
clients for design where
Yeah.
you're like, look, Mr. Personality over there, and he's the one who's got your back, right?
Right. You're right. It's funny you're saying that. I'm thinking back of how many times and you don't know. And you don't know who's bullshitting you and who's real and who's whatever. That's a great that's a great advice. That's why I like doing this podcast because the people that generally watch are probably design people, but that's great. This is great feedback for a designer because all these things are interchangeable. Like we're selling something to other.
Read the room. We can't. You
Yeah,
can't.
you can't. I
Can't
mean,
read.
sometimes you have to, right? Like you have to read the room if you can, but you can't hold anyone to any of it, right? It's
That's a better way to put it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a guess, but yeah, because there's times too where you feel like I'm bombing, and then you come out and they're like you killed, and you're like what? Like I didn't get that sense at all. Like it felt like a fart in church in there.
One of the biggest auditions of my life. Um, it was for a film, and actually, it was A River Runs Through It. I was reading for Robert Redford, and Francine Maisler was the casting director. And I was in the middle of the scene, and I stopped, and I said, "Can we start over?" And she was like, in front of Redford, she goes, "Harry, what are you doing? You don't stop. It was great. It was going great." And another lesson, right? Long story short on that one, the audition went really well. I hit it off with Redford. Do you ever see the movie River Runs Through It?
No.
You got to see it. So this was for the role of Brad Pitt's older brother, you
Okay.
know, and you got to see it. Good film. I go back out to LA. I just get off the plane because I'm starting the new season of Hofront, and they say, "Hey, can you come back? Redford really liked you, but he just wants to see you one more time." I had a horrible fear of flying, and I'm starting the show in 2 days. Fly back and forth. I'm like, I just met him 2 days ago. So I told my agent, I don't want to get back on the plane. Uh, if they want me, they could just use me.
Yeah.
And and they went with this guy, Craig Sheffer, who's a good actor. He did a good job, but I saw the movie and I'm like, fuck, man, that was mine. That was mine. So you audition for stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was another lesson I learned. You have to keep doing whatever's in front of you,
Yeah.
show up for everything, you
Yeah.
know. And
Very.
I regret not getting back on that plane because it was mine. I think he just wanted to talk and get to know me a little, and they were going to offer me the role. And the script was boring, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. Brad Pitt wasn't Brad Pitt yet, it was like the whole thing. And I watched the movie when it came out, and it was one of the most beautiful films, and it was a great role. So there's so many lessons to be learned, I'm sure, in design too, in your meetings, and you know, hey,
That
I'm
little extra kernel that they ask for, you got to give them because they asked you for it. Like you're saying, like, because you always feel like, oh, I did great. What I've done is enough. And it's like, it's never enough. If somebody asks you for one more thing, always give them the one more thing, just in case, right?
that was a mix between ego and fear on my part, because I had a horrible fear of flying.
Yeah. I don't like flying either, so I get it.
And I just got off the plane, so it takes me a few days to build up to even get on a plane. But and the same thing happened with Friends. I was on the short list for the show Friends.
Really?
My kids are still mad at me.
Which part?
$30 million later.
Oh my gosh, which part?
I just finished doing a series for Warner Brothers, and they were doing Friends. Originally, it was called Friends Like Me.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And the role of forgive me, the name of the guy who just passed away from
Chandler.
Friends, Chandler,
Yeah.
the Chandler role. Barbara Miller, the head of Warner Brothers casting at the time, she was an old Brooklyn lady, called me in. She said, "Look, The people here really like you. You're on our short list. It's a fun script. He's like an edgy guy. See, the character, the way he did Chandler was a lot different the way than he was originally written. I think the way Matthew Perry did it was more frenetic, more like, ah, come on, you kidding me? God, God, And the script, the way it was originally written, was like, oh, come on, are you kidding me? It was more New York.
He was more Joey.
It was more, no, it was a little edgier. Joey was kind of, Joey, but it was. So I'm in the waiting room and I read it through and I'm like, I don't do a sitcom. Like, I'm not a sitcom guy. It was all fear. And we're in the waiting room and what's her name was in there with me, the blonde, Lisa Kudrow. We were all waiting to go in an hour, 2 hours. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man? I want to go. I want to get down to Venice Beach and play some hoops tonight. And it was about 2.5 hours, and they came out. They brought us pizza. They said, "We're sorry, we're waiting for a producer to come in from New York." And I had like a little panic attack, and I left. I left.
Oh my gosh.
So Barbara called me up at home, and she's like, "Did you leave my audition today?" I said, "Yeah, Barbara, I'm sorry, we're waiting. So I just don't feel like this is me." She goes, "Harry, it's you. Just come in and have fun. They like you. They know your work, and they're good people. Come in. I'll see you tomorrow." I go in the next day, and I'm there with what's his name, Matt, who played Joey.
Matt
We're,
LeBlanc.
we're in the waiting room, and we had a mutual friend, so I'm talking with him, and again, it's like an hour and a half, and they keep coming out every 10 minutes. They're apologizing, and everyone just working on the scene. I'm like, this is not for me, man. I left.
Oh, wow.
Now, whenever I do an audition,
Most expensive basketball game of all time.
I play good that night.
At least you have that.
But whenever I do an audition, I try to watch the show or the movie, whatever it is. And a lot of times I look, if I don't get the part, I'll look and I'll be like, wow, that was his, man. Great job. That was great. Like, I don't even have any,
No.
never had that, bitterness about not getting anything. But I will watch something every now and then and I'm like, oh, that was mine. Like, they made a mistake.
Yeah.
That's mine. I've had people tell me, we should have cast you. But on this one, when I watched Matthew, I love his work and I was a big fan. And I met him a few times. He's a good guy, good tennis player. And I was like, that was mine. It was mine. Now they brought him in after I bagged on them. He was on the second group of guys they brought in, and he got it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a story. Not too many people know that story.
Well, he
And
was famous
than
in a lot of shows at that time too. He was doing a lot of like he was on Growing Pains, so he was someone we all were aware of. But like you said, it's not the character you were talking about.
no, it was mine. It was mine.
Wow.
There's no doubt in my mind that
Yeah.
if I went in and just had a little fun with it and just,
Well, that time too in the 90s, New York was everything. Every show was in New York. They wanted New York characters, like everybody wanted New York. So you probably were, like you said, right on the list. Like that was because that's when everything was about New York. And because I was in college in Manhattan at the time, and it was just that was the place to be.
yeah.
So you New York guys out in California, you guys must have felt like the belle of the ball out there at that point, right?
Well, back then, like when I first went out to LA, I couldn't even get arrested. I didn't got one audition. I went out there to do a play with Dylan McDermott, Short Eyes. We were supposed to do a play, and he was living with Julia Roberts at the time. So I was living with them,
Mhm.
right? She was just doing Pretty Pretty Woman. The name of that movie was originally called 2000. I
Yeah.
remember seeing scripts every morning. It said 2000. So I was living with them, and I was supposed to do the play with Dylan, but the play fell through. So I was out there for like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, couldn't get an audition, couldn't nothing. And my agent was like, look, Harry, you're going to kill it out here, but let's just build up a couple of more little credits, get a couple little TV credits, keep studying with Sharon. So I went back that year and I got a couple of little TV credits. I had a national commercial running and I was just a little more seasoned, a little more ready to rock and roll. And I went out there the next year. And it is kind of true at the time. I don't know about now, but if you were a New York actor and you had good training and you had a couple of good New York credits, they paid a lot more attention to you back then. And that did help. And I did feel like hot shit for a little while.
That's like the London folks too, because if you're from London, you probably worked on stage in London, right? Was that kind of a similar thing or no?
Yeah, and I had done a lot of good theater in New York too. So I had
That's
some
the big thing is the theater means in New York you're a pro's pro usually, right?
apps. And by that time, I did like 4 plays that year
Wow.
and some good credits, off Broadway and a couple of write-ups. And
Well, tell me
so
about that. Like that must be scary because live without a net. Um, what's the main difference? You know, we talked about the difference between movies and TV. What about taped versus live? I mean, that has to be at least in the very beginning, scary as hell, right?
well, in college, it was scary as hell.
Yeah.
But when I was in college, I had a unique experience because I wasn't getting cast in the school plays, right? But in the classwork and the scene work and stuff like that, I was really good. When your classmates, when you go up on stage and your classmates go like this,
Yeah.
right? So there are people who go up in class and people are like,
Yeah. Pull
oh,
out.
I knew that I had good stuff going on in class, but I couldn't get fucking arrested in the school plays. So this guy I played ball with, he said, hey man, they're doing Streetcar Named Desire at the Hole in the Wall Theater. It was this community theater in New Britain, Connecticut, but it was high-end community theater. So I was like, great. Now, when you join the drama department, you sign a contract that you can't do anything outside of the school.
Oh.
I I auditioned for the play and I beat out like 100 guys. I got Stanley Kowalski and great play, Streetcar. If you haven't seen the movie, Matt, I'm going to give you a list of movies to
You
see.
should, because most of the classics like this, I did.
Thank God I didn't see the movie. Thank God I didn't have
Yeah.
any
Oh,
conception in my head. Yeah. So I got the role and I'm doing it and I'm helping out with the school plays, but I'm going to my rehearsals and well,
weren't you worried about your name? Like, did you have to have a fake name or something?
they did a review of the play and there's my picture on the Sunday New Britain
Yeah.
fucking whole page.
So I live next to New Britain, so this is for the people who don't understand Connecticut. New Britain, Connecticut's about 5 miles wide. So the fact that there's a college and you thought that they wouldn't have seen you in the town play.
I think it was a New Britain record, but it had a pretty big circulation, pretty
But
big.
that's the surrounding area. But if you're in New Britain, there's nothing else going on in New Britain. So
There's nothing going on
yeah,
except a lot of churches, right? And,
exactly. And
and
hot dogs.
so the head of the department, Doc Frenizio, calls me in to his office. I had no idea. And it's a movie scene. He holds up the paper. He goes, is that you? And I said, yeah. He goes, Harry, what's going on? Why don't you tell me about this? I said, I don't know. I'm not getting any roles in the school plays, and I feel like I deserve it. And, you know, and he said, you could be expelled for this. And I said, and he was an old football guy, and he was the first person I met when I joined, and he had a glass eye. It was a movie scene, Doc Finizio. And I got very emotional. I said, look, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And I've been here for a year and a half. I get these little roles and he said, well, because we did the shows on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays for like 6 weeks or whatever it was. He said, well, I'm going to let you do this, and you know, but we need to talk after this is done. And because there was a lot of political crap going on, and I don't want to say it here now, but there was some stuff going on in the department there. And he came to see the play.
That's very nice of this man, by the way.
And my acting teacher within the program came to see my play, the one who wouldn't hire me
Yeah.
in the school plays. And they both came and they saw it. And I got these great reviews. And long story short, after that, I got cast in some really good roles in the school plays. So that was my breakthrough. But after that, that was my big breakthrough. I had this big freedom and permission for myself. So I never really went through that, oh shit, I'm on stage thing, except my first couple of small roles. Um, but yeah, live theater, nothing like it.
Do you get to the big ones in Manhattan, like the big theaters? Did you do
Yeah,
work on those? Is that much different, or is it just kind of the same
I
once?
work in those big theaters, no, because I was very close on Biloxi Blues on Broadway. I got close on a couple of Broadway plays. But by the time my family was growing, I have 3 kids. I needed to generate X amount of income
Yeah, yeah,
so I couldn't afford to do theater anymore, really.
yeah.
But
So it
even
doesn't pay, theater doesn't pay that well compared to other.
no, not really, but at that time, but even if you got a Broadway show at the time, it wasn't that much money.
Okay.
And it's a huge commitment. You're doing 8 shows a week,
Wow.
you
I
know.
always would have thought it would have been more money just because of the work, but so it's not that much money.
If I got a nice guest spot on Law and Order, that would pay me the equivalent of 4 or 5 weeks on Broadway.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then you get the residuals from that. So if you make X amount of dollars doing a top of show contract on TV, well, the next time that runs on primetime TV, you're getting, I think, 65% of your gross.
Get out of here.
That's how the residual scales. Now, next time it goes
What?
to 30, then next time it's 20, and now I get, $4 checks. So it gradates down.
That's crazy, but the 65 is pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I always figured, like you
three or
said,
four
you
of
got
those a
like four
year.
bucks. I thought you'd get like $4 or something. I didn't think you got anything
No,
substantial,
no, it goes down over time. Yeah, each usage it goes down.
which is kind of unfair. It feels like it should go up because the contracts are
The check from
bigger.
Tower Heist, right? A residual check from Tower Heist, and I'm like, oh, pleasant surprise, because it's different markets, different cycles. So you
Because
know,
we're talking about, I was just watching the Charlie Sheen documentary, and they were saying he got 2 million per episode at that point, which was the highest they had ever given. Because that was the Seinfeld broke that with the 1 million per episode, right? So
right?
what I always wondered though is,
Friends too. Yeah,
yeah, that was the big money, but then, they're on their probably seventh or eighth major contract with Netflix or whatever streaming service. And I always wondered, do they get more with each contract or do they get less as it goes for their residuals?
that's why Stag went on strike last year and a half ago, was because the streaming services, the cable, the
Makes
residual rates, the actors were getting screwed, and the
that makes sense now. Because you're saying it goes lower makes
that's
it
prime
really
time
work. Yeah,
network network. The
interesting.
cable, it still sucks, but the producers were making a fortune,
Oh yeah.
and Netflix is making, and the actors are getting little pittances. Yeah,
And that was the point was, who would have thought there would have been a bidding war over these 30, 40-year-old sitcoms and they'd be making, so much more than when they were at their peak. So that makes sense that they would strike because when you look at residuals and you look at that system, it's always based on getting lesser, not getting more, right? So as they
right.
got more, you probably didn't see any of that, right?
Very little.
Very
Very
little.
little.
Yeah, that sucks.
Like I did a couple of episodes of the show Oz. Have you ever seen Oz on HBO? I played a dirty cop in that show that gets killed, and they throw me down an elevator. Shoot. And HBO, right? Huge,
Yeah.
multi-billion dollar company. I mean, the residuals I would get on that were nothing,
Yeah.
very little.
Which is a
Yeah,
shame
but that
because you hear
HBO
all that.
was on NBC, thousands and thousands of dollars.
Which is again, it's antiquated because it's based on a moment in time where NBC was more important than HBO. And now if you're on HBO for a show, I would assume we wanted to see The Sopranos a lot more than we wanted to see Law and Order, right? Which would be the comparable. So it's probably based on the system where TV was here and cable was here.
Don't say that in
Probably
front of the
being
Law and Order.
rectified. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it is amazing to me that they could keep having different branches of the same tree.
Incredible.
It's incredible. I don't, I don't like, I don't like network television, and it's not like I'm being a snob or anything. I just sitcoms I don't like. I don't like the anything with canned laughter. It's bad, and most of the jokes are just terrible. But that's why these other shows are so valuable is there's some amazing shows being made. Like some of the best TV I've seen in the last couple of years. Mike Walker shows me a bunch because him and Kim watch it and
Yeah.
like Lioness. I thought Lioness was amazing.
Oh,
Uh,
I've been meaning to check that out.
I
Yeah.
loved it. I just loved it. I think Zoe Saldana is amazing anyway, but she can play really vicious and physical and like whatever, and then she plays vulnerable and like sad. Like I just think she's amazing. And any of the Taylor Sheridan stuff is pretty good. The Gas Man one was corny, I thought, but the acting was good, so it was worth watching. It was entertaining.
Yes, man.
Was it Gas Man with
Oh, Landman.
Landman? Sorry, Gas Man.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. If you want to see a really great show, check out I'm drawing a blank. Oh man, I'll text it to you.
Okay.
Um,
What are your top three movies then?
Three? Oh, that's tough because I'm a movie nut.
Me too. And that's, but I feel like your top three says a lot about you. And if I ask someone their top three and they give me like something really stupid, like a jokey movie from the 90s or something, I'm like, all right, I think our friendship might have hit its peak. You know what I mean? Where they're like, Father of the Bride. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. Like you're putting that at like, Gone with the Wind. Like, what are we doing here? Like it's great that you love it, but I mean, it's this is like your epitaph of what's important to you, you know?
This is a tough one for me because I would prefer to give you a top 15, but if I had to zero it down to three, it would be The Godfather,
Amazing.
and then it would be Citizen Kane, number two, which I've seen, and then a great film called Jules and Jim. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it.
Ah, I haven't.
So Jules and Jim. So I'm going to send you a list later, Matt,
Okay.
because you have to see Jules and Jim. And
That Citizen Kane is one that I've wanted to do, and then people are like, no, it doesn't translate as well. Does it still translate? Is it,
me,
does it? Yeah.
yeah,
I
uh,
get, I'm one of those people like I think my sister was always watching the old Turner classics, and I'd always fall asleep when she would put something on. So I think now that I'm older, maybe I need to give a lot of those a chance. And
yeah,
because I didn't see Gone with the Wind until I was probably in my late 30s.
it
Uh,
just blow you away.
it was really good, and I liked it. I really liked Rhett Butler, or what was is that his name?
The
Frank?
character, yeah,
Yeah, was it Frankly's?
Abel, right?
Yeah, Gable. I thought he was he had so much charm and that smirk and that whole thing. It just was really amazing. It was really well done. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. But then there's The Deer Hunter.
I've never seen that.
I'm sending you a list. Taking of the Pelham 123, the original. These are just movies that, as a teenage taxi driver, Mean Streets,
I didn't see those. The 70s is
Raging
probably the
Bull,
time period that I didn't see as much. Um,
Teen Raging Bull, right?
I have not seen Raging.
Matthew.
Sorry. I think that's the hole in the time period for us.
There's a bunch of foreign films that just have moved me.
I mean, I
Yeah.
love movies. I have like over 550 movies that I own on Apple. Um, I watched them over and over and over. I think I like really good movies, but like I said, that time period, probably because my parents' age too, they weren't watching movies as much because they were raising us. So like the 70s from a pop culture standpoint is probably my hole for most things. Music wise, I was able to hear it on the classic rock station. But I didn't have cable growing up. So that was another thing. My friend watched all of this and I
Uh,
never got to see any of it because we just had the stupid 4 or 5 channels. And then I had UHF where I got like the Waterbury channel. That was like the extent of it. But I got to watch the Whalers and the Celtics, so I got that. So it worked out. Do you want to hear my three? Curious what you think of my
yeah,
three.
yeah. Please.
Number three is Cinderella Man. There's something about it. It reminds me of my dad's stories about my grandpa from the Great Depression, the Irish guy like that wouldn't take the money. And I just thought the acting was so good. I thought Paul Giamatti was just ridiculous. For me, the way I value a movie is the acting has to be amazing, the writing has to be amazing, but it has to have a number of like lines in the movie that just carry with you for the rest of your life. Um, that one doesn't have a ton of lines, but I just thought it just was very impactful to me because it just kind of resonated with like that Brooklyn, New York kind of thing that I grew up with my family and stuff. The second one was Prestige. Do you ever see The Prestige?
No.
I love that movie because from a writing perspective,
Who's in it?
Christian Bale um, and the guy from Hugh Jackman and Michael Caine. And it's about magic. But what's amazing about the story to me is that there's the story, and the story is about the prestige, where there's 3 parts to any magic trick, right? But that 3 parts is how they wrote the movie. So when you look at it later, and it takes you a long time to figure it out, even the ending of the movie is the prestige. So there's a lot of, and it's the guy who did Batman or Dark Knight. What's his name again? The English guy. He's really good. He's like the big guy. He just did the movie with the Manhattan Project. Um,
Not sure.
you know who it is. He just did Cillian Murphy was the Manhattan Project. You know that movie that just came out?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That he's that director. Oh, Christopher Nolan.
Oh, Nolan, yeah.
So it's a great movie. Scarlett Johansson's in it. Um, so it jumps around because it did that Christopher Nolan thing from like Memento, where it's like the timeline is all whatever. It's amazing. It has oh, you know who's in it is David Bowie.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, he's Nikolai Tesla and he's incredible in it and it makes you appreciate Nikolai Tesla. It's just really great. So I love that because I just thought it was so clever and you're always thinking and every time you watch it you learn something new. And then my number one is Shawshank Redemption. I just think
Great film. Yeah.
amazing, the acting, the writing.
That's my brother Michael's favorite film.
Oh, it's just so good. The first time I saw it was Mike Walker had his apartment studio in Manhattan, and he wasn't coming home, or he was coming home later, so he had this VHS, and I watched it, and it was amazing. It was like jaw dropping, the thing with the poster, which is like the aha moment, which is like in Prestige, they have the aha moment. And there's just something about that where you don't see something covered. That cleverness and it's kind of a roller coaster ride. I always feel like that's
Check it out.
yeah. I'm curious to see what you think of that one. I probably don't have a lot of your classics, but I do think The Godfather sh could or should be in that list. Like I've watched that so many times. But do you think one is better than two?
Yeah, a little bit. Just
A bit, smidge. What do you
yeah.
think the difference that makes it?
Um, just the way it's put together. Just to, you
I think
know,
the New Yorkness helps too.
point out the difference.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that the New York part of it too helps the movie, like the scenery and stuff. You lose a lot of that when they're in, Cuba and stuff like that. There's something about the grittiness of New York, I think, that adds to the
yeah,
scariness.
yeah, the back and forth and the storyline going back. But still, I mean, either way, my
Yeah.
left foot was one of my favorites too. My left
Which
foot,
one?
my left foot,
What's that?
my left foot with Daniel Day-Lewis. I'm Matt. You just asked me what's that.
I didn't know.
It's one of the great performances of all time by Daniel Day-Lewis. It's about. I'm going to send you a nice list.
Okay.
And also, you want to check out the Criterion Collection. Have you ever heard of the Criterion Collection? Just write that down.
Oh,
And they have a website now where you could watch these just great films on the Criterion Collection. Um,
what movies are in that?
Hundreds of great
Oh,
films,
okay.
Fellini films and, you know, Hitchcock and, all the great films of all time. They remaster them. They have director's commentary. You ever watch a film with the director's
That's
commentary?
that's what I love. I absolutely love that. Yeah.
Then they have different, the making of, behind the scenes, how the story developed, and then you watch the movie. It's incredible.
I do like that. I like to see why, certain people gave certain types of performances or why they didn't do. I do love. That's why again that Mark Maron thing. It's like that behind the scenes of. It's almost more exciting to me how something is made rather than what was made. I love the choices and why they went this direction as opposed to that direction, that kind of stuff. So we're getting short on time, but I did have a question. You talked about you go into a scene and you sit there and you put yourself into the scene more than you remember the words, right?
Well, my old teacher used to say, get invested and involved before in order to get informed. So get invested and involved in order to get informed. So I need to know what's going on. I need to know why it's going on. I need to know how it affects me, how I would be as my character is under these circumstances. See, now I'm informed. She said, once you're invested and involved and informed, then go learn your words, and the words will just come a whole lot easier, you know.
So my question is, based on that, what is the hardest thing, and maybe you couldn't do it, put yourself in a role. What is the hardest role you've ever read or had to put yourself in that position where you're like, I can't think like this person, or I can't relate to this? Or is there, maybe there isn't one, but what is the hardest one where you really had to struggle, whether it was like a murderer or like a whatever, but you're just like, is that a good question? It might not, maybe that's a bad question, but I just wondered, there's got to be ones that are really hard, and then the other ones, oh, I'm a New York cop. Well, that's easy. But this one is, I'm a strangler from Pittsburgh or something. Like, is there anything like that?
I remember auditioning for the role of a serial killer in some off-Broadway play years ago, and I just couldn't connect to the material. It just freaked me out too much. It was just too bizarre. Um, I just couldn't get there. I don't know why. That was the only time that ever happened. And then I did a play called Floating Rhoda and the Glue Man at the Here Theater downtown with Dylan McDermott and a few other really good people. And I had to beat my wife up at the last scene of the first act. I had to beat her head and that was really hard.
Yeah.
Not to mention the woman who was playing my wife, kept like throwing her head back and like banging her head on the stage, and it freaked me out. So I was like, can you not do that? Because
They're gonna they're gonna lock you up and pull you out.
we worked with a choreographer and the whole thing, and
Yeah,
then the director had to talk to her like, Miriam, you know, can't throw your head back because you have to hold tight. Let Harry sell it.
yeah.
But that was really hard for me. But see, the saving grace was that in the second act, when my character comes back, he's completely reformed.
Yeah.
He's found God, and it's a whole huge transition. So that was fun to go. The guy's name was Coyote, who's this really raw kind of Kowalski fucking guy who just snapping. You ever hear of Danny in the Deep Blue Sea, the play?
Sounds familiar.
It's kind of like a Shanley character, just fucking brutally. Uh, and then he comes back in the second act, and he's just polished and refined and
Yeah.
ref- and So that's what kind of got me to really commit to that redness, that borderline evil. He was so abusive to this woman.
One scene, and we mentioned The Godfather, that I could never watch, and I have to close my eyes, is when Carlo beats up the girl, the mobster's daughter. It sounds so real, and I had gotten hit with the belt as a kid, so hearing the belt, it's like to this day I can't. Yeah, I can't. And the way she screams, like hearing a woman scream like she's being hurt, like it like hurts my soul. So you
But
saying that so
it
hard.
made where Sonny beats him with the garbage can cover
Oh
even.
yeah. Oh, I love that scene. And he's biting his knuckles to get him off the railing.
Yeah,
Yeah, there is that, but
he really caught,
did
like
he?
he liked him in real life. Yeah. Apparently a lot of that with the was real.
Jesus.
Yeah, there I saw an interview a few years ago.
Oh, that's
Con
crazy.
went, Con went over the line with that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Um, so there's another thing before we go. Do you ever watch the Dexter show? Dexter, the series?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this last one, it's funny because you just mentioned serial killers, so this threw me off. I always thought that Dexter was a really great sort of investigation into the mind of a serial killer, like distant. He doesn't know why he does it, but he can't help himself. And this time, they created like an all-star team of serial killers, and they're all like pay to hire. And they're just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna, stop by and do a serial killing tomorrow. And I'm like, what the hell happened to this like deep, huh?
The new Dexter?
Yeah. The
Oh,
new
yeah.
Dexter,
The
it's
old
basically like it reminded me of the new Happy Gilmore where it was basically just a vehicle for cameos for famous people. So they
exactly.
just have all these famous people and they're like over the top. And I wonder if the whole thing's supposed to be over the top, but they're just over the top characters that are serial killers. And they're like, "Oh yeah, I do some of my best work." And I'm like, "You're supposed to be like a depraved lunatic. Why are you talking like, this is your 9 to 5 job and you work down at the VFW or something?" I'm like, you're supposed to be whatever. It was so sad in that way, but I had to watch because I love the actor and all that, but like it was so disappointing that before it was like a drama about the mind of a serial killer, and then now it was almost like a satire of
Really?
yeah, it was just I'd love to see if you watch it what you think of it. I just like they had the guy from Doogie Howser guy, Patrick
Yeah.
Harris, and he's in there and he plays this over the top guy with like a mullet. And it was just, I'm like, is this supposed to be ironic or is this supposed to be almost like tongue in cheek? I couldn't tell. So if you get to watch it, I'd love to see your take on
Yeah. Where is it? Where is it on?
it.
I'll find it.
Either Netflix, I think Netflix, or Hulu, maybe.
I'll check it out. I want to see Prestige now. I'm very interested.
I really want to see what you think about that. That I've never heard a negative review on that. The acting's amazing. Um, I just think there's a lot of like shifts and turns. So I'm curious what you think about that.
Yeah, I just finished binging Succession. Have you seen Succession?
Yes. I like that a lot. I thought that was really good. The last season,
Well,
it got a little weird because of COVID and he
it
had to
fed on
leave.
itself. It
Yeah,
fed on itself the
yeah,
last two seasons, but
yeah,
the acting was great.
yeah.
Yeah. It was a little repetitive, I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it like it's one of those things in these shows that always gets me is it's like season one, same thing with Yellowstone. Season one, you and I are mortal enemies. Season two, I have to go with you because even though we're mortal enemies, there's someone worse that we have to fight. By season three, we're the longtime buddies, and then by season four, we're enemies again. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that was the chief Indian, and the guy's trying to murder his family. By the end, he's the one, maintaining the Costner Ranch, for perpetuity. And you're like, what the like this makes no
Tell
sense.
me, I haven't seen it yet. I was gonna check Yellowstone out.
No, great show. I didn't really ruin it. That's not a main thing, but it's just you have these things. It reminds I call it like the 24 conundrum. In 24, he has so many arcs and so many things, and someone's his enemy at 10 a.m., and then he's their best friend at 12, and then he hates them again at 3. And if you're watching it over a course of a season, it feels like a natural progression. But if you stop and say, this is just one day, you're like, they became best friends 3 different times and mortal enemies 4 different times. How is that possible? It's only 12 hours, it's only 18 hours in a day. I mean, for Christ. So awful. So annoying.
Yeah.
My cousin, or my ex-wife's cousin, uh, he was a writer on a show. So I got to talk to him while they were writing it, and it was so fun. What was it? Alien? It something alien, Resident Alien. And it was so cool to listen to it and then talk to them after every episode to see why they made certain decisions and why they did certain things. And uh, I thought that was so much fun. And you as a writer, you probably have a million stories like that. But it's funny to see that the stories change to, someone got pregnant or somebody got hit by a car, and now that's why we had to kill off this character and change the whole thing. That must be very exciting, but also like frustrating at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. I've really enjoyed Ozark though.
Oh,
Ozark.
that was very good. I didn't like it after season two. I thought the wife was just kind of insufferable, where she was like, "I'm a big gang lord now," and I'm like, ah. I was like, come on, guys, you just this has only been a couple of months. How did this turn like this? It's just, I don't know. I thought that was whatever. But I love anything Jason Bateman's in. I think he's one of the funniest people ever.
I just finished Black Rabbit on Netflix.
What's that about?
It's about these two brothers in the restaurant business, like a Cain and Abel kind of story.
Oh, okay. I just I just finished Animal Kingdom. It wasn't great, but it was entertaining. Um, Ellen Barkin's in it, and I thought it ended really well. There's one of the brothers, I don't know the actor. He was in a lot of things when we were younger, but he kind of plays this messed up sort of quiet guy. And I just think he does such a good job. Like you get like kind of nervous watching him. Like he makes you feel like, oh man, this guy's kind of messed up. So that wasn't a bad show. That was on Netflix if you ever wanted to catch that one.
Heard about it. I got to check it out.
Yeah, it's not bad. But all right, well, this I had a lot more stuff to talk about, yeah, and I thought this went pretty well. Did you enjoy it?
It's great. Thank you, man. It's
Thank you,
always
man.
to talk
I'll,
about. What adva.
yeah, I love it. So yeah, let's
Yeah, and I have to get Mickey's schedule from Mike. He's supposed to send it to me. I want to come to one of the games.
yeah, he plays not he's right not far from Danbury. But he's gonna be back from injury in like a week or two. I think they said they'll find out in a few days if he's gonna be back.
Oh, his elbow?
His shoulder.
Oh,
He made this amazing tackle on a kickoff where he came around and he caught the guy's foot and he landed on his shoulder and I think it popped it out or something. So but he's a heck of a player. He's got some of the best feet I've ever seen. The way he can turn and get from, and the minute he recognizes, the guy in front of him has the ball, he just gets upfield and yeah, he has
Yeah.
great recognition. Just very good mechanics.
Safety, your job is to recognize, is it a run or a pass? You know, a lot of teams design their plays to trick the strong safety from committing or not committing. So sometimes the tight end, because my responsibility is a tight end, so sometimes the tight end will block and then release and creep
Yeah,
over the right.
yeah.
So if I'm in a zone, it's fine. I let him go. But if it's man, I got to commit to him, and then the run's coming my way, and that's 12 yards. So
And the
yeah,
way they do it, I think they do a 3-3-5 or whatever. So sometimes he's a linebacker and sometimes he's a cornerback.
really. Oh, so
Yeah,
he's
so he has to do these two things very differently, and he does them both really, really well. It's really interesting because he's not huge, but he plays big and he hits
yeah,
hard. It's pretty exciting to watch. Whenever you hear like a boom, it's always him coming up because his recognition, he just turns and goes. It's really great.
nice, nice.
But
All
Harry,
right.
I appreciate
Hopefully
it.
that's the game.
Great seeing you, and I'll talk to you soon. Send me that list.
I will. Thank you, man, and tell everyone I said hello.
I will. Thanks a lot, man.
Later, brother.
Okay, bye.